All right, so don't let me forget at the break to stop the recording, and then after the break, put the recording back on. So you guys can go to kenspencer.com, and sometime tomorrow, by Monday for sure, I will upload what you see on my screen or what you see on the projector screen, and what we're saying during the class will be uploaded to there. I do that with my classes all the time when I can. Sometimes technical difficulties don't allow that. So to get there, you go over here to Macnexus. And when you click on Macnexus, these are the class I did May 4th when I spoke at the general meeting, and I try to put links in here. And then if you go down here to Archive, it's the previous classes, and it's just YouTube videos. It's completely unedited because otherwise I'd never get it up there. I don't have, this is, we're going to do 3 hours today, and there's no way I'm going to go edit it. But also when you ask questions, I try to repeat it so that it'll actually get recorded in there too, because my answers are sometimes or most of the time are so vague anyway that even if you hear the question, it's hard to discern what the answer is. So. Empower Mac, Pete Losey's teaching down there. He'll be teaching a class. We did an iPhoto weekend last weekend. It was fantastic. But coming up June 22nd and 23rd will be photos, slideshows, and it's really neat. He's gonna go over movie trailers and different things like that. And actually what we're finding is many times now, the iPad is in some regards more capable than your computer for doing a lot of these things. So, and we see a lot of people iPad only, for instance. My mom, my 88-year-old mom, she never really embraced the computer. She uses the iPad, and it's great. And it's going to put me out of business because I come out and I can do technical things, troubleshoot, help you remotely, but the iPad doesn't really break. And that's okay because then I can teach you other things rather than having to fix things that go wrong. So, and there's still a need for a computer for a lot of people, but we're really seeing, as Steve Jobs said, it's the post-PC era we're going into. And you got to think about it, the iPad with Siri, with a built-in GPS, with a built-in accelerometer that senses when it turns, that does so many things, when you see what they can do, in many regards it's more capable than this. Now, sitting down and writing a book, not so much. You still need pickup trucks too. In that regard, we have, speaking of Mac hardware, we think there'll be some new Mac hardware introduced fairly soon that will actually be made in the USA. The Worldwide Developer Conference for Apple, the Worldwide Developer Conference is coming up June 10th through 14th. No, you can't get a ticket because they sold out in minutes. So this is the little logo for it. So this is where, it used to be where the people that wrote Apple software would come to this, and there's I believe 1,500 Apple engineers that they can sit and talk with. Okay, I'm having trouble with this, can you fix this? But now it's really become more iOS. Now, iOS means iPad, iPhone, iPod Touch. We have the Mac OS, the Macintosh operating system, and it used to be called the iPhone operating system, but it's been changed to the iOS operating system, which runs the iPod Touch, the iPad, and the iPhone, and other things to be determined later. So that's where the developers can go here and find out, because Apple makes ways for them to make their programs work, and they have certain protocols. So this will be coming up, and we have, just after that, we have the next Macnexus meeting, and the majority of that will be talking about what was broken at the WWDC, because we think our iOS device is running iOS 6 right now. We think they'll introduce iOS 7 so the developers can work on it, and then it'll be introduced to us in October, because the developers will have had a chance to make new apps, change their apps, and do different things, so that iOS 7 will be out, and it's usually a free upgrade for those of you who can do it. I have a feeling the iPhone 4 may, well, the 3GS probably won't support iOS 7, Because what happens is they make the software do more and more things. There might not be enough hardware to it. So it's not like Apple's trying to obsolete things. They want it to be able to do things. The iPad 1 can't do iPhoto, for instance, because there's not enough horsepower. Chips get faster and faster and faster, and you don't want to handicap progress on making the device do more things by just having to make sure that it works on every single processor that's out there. So that's coming up. All right, now today I use a little program that allows me to have my iPhone and my iPad right here on the screen, and I can all right, so as we go through, today we're going to touch on, I go around and I see people that have their iOS devices. Some of them have never downloaded any apps at all. Some people have their iPhone and they think it's just a phone. Well, first off, how many here have an iPhone? Okay, and of those, how many have the iPhone 4S or 5? Okay, because you have Siri, and we're going to discuss Siri. Those of you that don't have an iPhone 4S or 5, hopefully this will convince you that you may want to upgrade yours. And the nice thing is, on the iPhone, you could sell an iPhone 4 right now in good shape if your contract's up for over $100. And you can get a new iPhone 4S for $100 plus a new 2-year contract. Or the iPhone 5, actually at Fry's, they have it as low as $137. Plus you pay $50 in tax because you pay it on the full value. But you have to commit to a new 2-year contract. But you're going to be using some sort of cell service anyway, so I used to hate to commit to the contracts, and I waited and waited and waited. I was off contract for 8.5 years, waiting for the perfect phone to come out. Well, as soon as the perfect phone came out on June 29th of 2007, I rushed right into a contract.
Where are good places to sell them?
Gazelle.com, great question, Doug. Where is a good place to sell them? Gazelle.com, Gazelle. If you guys come up afterwards, I can, in fact, what we'll do is, how many here are on AT&T? Okay, this only applies to AT&T people, and I'm going to show you what you can do to check your upgrade status. So I go to my phone, and I bring the keypad up. And in the keypad, I hit star, and then the letters NEW, 639, NEW, pound. Doesn't look like a phone number, but I'm going to hit call. And when I hit call, it'll say thank you for your request, and I'll hit dismiss. And in a second, I get a free text message from AT&T telling me what my upgrade ability is. You can do that. Verizon doesn't have that capability. I think you can dial 611 from your phone and ask them, oh, there it is. This line is eligible for an early upgrade with a partial discount. Because, see, I got this phone in October. So I would only get a partial discount. A lot of times the carriers, yeah, they say it's a 2-year contract, but they'll let you upgrade after 18 months. So you can keep an eye on that. Just as an example, when I upgraded this phone in October, I sold somebody my iPhone 4S. It was a 32 gig model, so it originally cost me $299 plus tax. I sold it for $425. So it's really easy for me to rationalize upgrading when I can make more selling the device than I buy the new device for. So that was unusual because the 4S was still very current, and I was a year ahead on my upgrade cycle. So unfortunately, the iPads don't do that. Now, why can you sell an iPhone for so much? Verizon you can't sell for quite as much, except the new Verizon iPhone 5 is fantastic. It's the best world phone there is. You could take your Verizon iPhone 5, you go over to Europe, you plug a SIM card in, and you can buy that. You can use their service over there because it's completely unlocked. Only the 5. But you can sell it for a lot of money, your phones, because people want to buy them without a contract. Or they want to put them on a different carrier before T-Mobile had the iPhone, or they want to be able to go to Europe and put a card in it. Because when you're locked into a contract, your phone's also locked. Charlie?
T-Mobile has a new contract, unlocked phone or something?
Yeah, T-Mobile, a good question. T-Mobile has finally been able to come to the iPhone. It wasn't T-Mobile's fault. It was the iPhone didn't support the frequencies they use for their service, but now they do. And what they're doing is there's some actually, this is a good point. We'll talk about some different choices because it used to be AT&T, then it was AT&T and Verizon, then Sprint got on the board, and now T-Mobile, Virgin Mobile, all of those are on board. T-Mobile says, we won't make you do a 2-year contract, but you pay full price for the phone, or you can pay monthly for the price of the phone. Now let's talk about the economics of that. AT&T and Verizon make tons of money, but everybody hates a 2-year contract. If you don't want a 2-year contract, go into Apple or Verizon or AT&T and pay $650 for this phone. Because that's how much they pay Apple for the phone. And they sell it to you for $199, or like I said, at Fry's, it's down to $137. So it's $650. That's why you pay about $50 in tax, because in California you have to pay the full amount of the tax, not the subsidized price of the tax. But they do pay $650 for this phone, and they sell it to you for $199 because they know they're going to make that money over the 2-year time. T-Mobile gives you the option of doing that. Virgin Mobile lets you buy the phone for full price, and you can get a service for as little as $35 a month. You can also get Straight Talk they're not doing iPhone so much anymore, but there's these other sellers out there. They're called MVNOs, Mobile Virtual Network Operators, and they buy time on Sprint. They buy time on Cell One. Doug asked about where to sell them. Gazelle, a company called Nextworth. Also, Target will take your phone, so will Radio Shack, and so will Best Buy. So you go search around on the internet and see what your best prices are. And Gazelle, for instance, if you decide instead of getting a check sent to you, Gazelle is an easy service. They're pretty good about it, but you sign. So as soon as a new phone's getting ready to come out, I told you I sold that 4S for $425. Well, I knew the new phone was coming out in a couple weeks, so I went to Gazelle and I locked in my price. I have 30 days to complete the transaction. They send me a box. I take my phone, put it in the box, and send it off to them. And then they say, oh yeah, it's in the shape you said it was. Send me a check. Or I can gain 5% more if I want to get Amazon credit. I buy enough stuff on Amazon, I could have done that way. In the meantime, I went looking for other people that might want to buy my phone. And so therefore I was able to sell it to a private party and not sell it through Gazelle. Gazelle was only going to give me like $325 or something. So Gazelle, Nextworth, and Target uses it, and you can go right online to Target and do Nextworth. Let's just do a quick little example. I'll go to Target iPhone trade in. And it'll take me to the Target Nextworth site. Boom. So I'm going to do an AT&T 4 because the 4S, if you have the 4S, you don't need to go to the 5. And Gazelle will do the same thing, but basically I'm just going to pull this one up. I'm going to do so you can trade it in the store, get a quote. You can do it online. They send you free. So if I go over here and I say, and they'll do other things too. iPhones retain their value. iPads you can't sell it for more than you bought it for because there's no contract with them. An iPad's value is about half of what it was. So if I click iPhones, and I'll pick an AT&T iPhone 4 16 gigabyte. That's kind of the standard model. And it says, does it power on? Yes, it does. No cracked display. $131. How much did I say you can go buy an iPhone 5 at Fry's for? Plus the tax. I'm sorry, that's there. And the best part, so then the other question is, I can go buy, so with AT&T or Verizon, I can get an iPhone 4S for $99, or the iPhone 5 for $199. Should I spend that extra $100? You shouldn't necessarily, because the iPhone 5 is that much better and newer, but when you sell it 2 years from now, it will have that $100 more value in it than the 4S. Got somebody for triage or just counting? Bob White, everyone. So I say don't look what you need today, look what you're going to need 2 years from now, because you have a 2-year contract. So it's probably better. The 5 doesn't have a tremendous amount more than the 4S. The big thing is to go from the 4 to get one of the others so you can get Siri. And after we go through some stuff today, you'll see why Siri is just incredible. So again, I'll try to post those links. If somebody emails me, or if someone can just take a little bit of notes about that and let me know at the end, and I'll put it where the recording for the class will be. I'll have links to those different sites. All right. So first thing I want to talk about, password hell. Who here is in password hell?
Yeah.
Really? Are you afraid to admit that you have trouble with passwords? All right. Well, the first hopeful cure to password hell is back at kenspencer.com. Click on this thing called Mac Sheet. Pretty creative. I call it the cheat sheet. And if you click on this, yes, it's got our logo on it, and it's got my phone number on the bottom in case you need it, my email. But it's also got the Apple Store phone numbers. But this is a sheet that you do this very analog. You grab a pencil or a pen. I'd do a pencil, not a pen. Get a pencil, and you can write in your passwords here. The best part about this is it prompts you for different things. Like, if you'll notice here at My Apple ID, I have an Apple ID, I have an iTunes ID, I have an iCloud ID, and I'm just between the Apple IDs, you don't know what's up. This is a great place to put it. You don't have to fill every spot in. I'm just trying to prompt you for where you might need these things. And then hide this somewhere. This is just a piece of paper. Just hide it. The bonus is the second page is keyboard shortcuts for the Mac. Sorry, there's no keyboard shortcuts for the iPad because it's just a regular old keyboard. Well, actually, I have some keyboard shortcuts I'm going to show you on the iPad and the iPhone today. So anyway, that's at kenspencer.com. That's a Mac sheet. But there's a couple programs out there that help you manage your passwords. That being said, I predict within the next 5 years, and I think within the next 3 or sooner, you will no longer have to enter any passwords. Because there'll be no crime and nobody will try to crack into anything. You won't have to worry about anything at all, right? This right here will be your password to everywhere. Not this one. This is the passwords now, right? This finger. This one is the password. There will be a built-in fingerprint reader. That's been around for quite a while. Apple acquired a company that's a fingerprint reading company. And if you think about it, the reason Apple's requiring robust passwords and all those other things is because if you think about it right now, they have one of the largest databases of credit cards anywhere because many people have iTunes accounts. Well, we can buy apps for our Mac and our iPhone. We can buy movies. We can rent movies. We can buy books. That's only the tip of the iceberg. In Europe, you hold it up to a Coke machine and it dispenses that for you. Has anybody used it to go into an Apple Store? So there's an Apple Store app. I feel dirty sometimes. It's like I can go in with the Apple Store app and I scan the little product. Look, not MacBook Pros out there, but an Airport Express, let's say. I scan it and I say, okay, I'll purchase. Would you like us to print a receipt for it? I haven't talked to anybody yet. Would you like us to print a receipt or can we email it? Okay, email it. Do you want a bag? I don't need a bag. I start walking to the front door and I walk home and I'm like, I'm waiting for the security guys to come get me, but you've just checked out. Now that's the ultimate in self-checkout. And that's why they want to make sure you have secure passwords. And that's why Apple requires some pretty big passwords. Go right ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks who have problems with fingerprints, especially people who, you know, they've been rubbed off, or if your hands are too dry, blah, blah, blah. So
Or a life of crime and you sanded them off?
I don't want to talk about that.
Okay. Her name is Betty. Just, we'll call her Betty. Jane Doe. Yeah, you know, I don't know how that's going to affect it. But, yeah, actually my father handled a lot of paper, and I remember he was in life insurance, and he had to get fingerprinted, and they couldn't get fingerprints. There'll still be an alternative, which will be passwords. So, now, I don't know, is it the people that have not, well, drink more water, I guess you get bigger fingerprints, I don't know. But is it usually all the fingers, or are there, like, the index finger worn more than the other in those cases?
I don't know for sure. But
So you may be able to try an alternate. So maybe you can get maybe there'll be a fake finger that's a custom one. No, it's custom done for this person, and that will be their ID and put it over. I don't know, but it's getting, the scanners are getting better. So, you know, DMV, it's all electronic now. You put your thumb on there and it just, zzz, done. And that's already at the Homeland Security, of course, so, yeah. You know, the other thing is iris scanning. And I think the thing is that's, you have to look at acceptance level. There's a lot of people that probably wouldn't want their fingerprint to be used, so you can still use passwords. They're afraid of it. Frankly, I look at it like, gosh, that'll be great because then I could just do it, and nobody has this fingerprint. It's the old on the movies though, they cut the skin off of a dead guy's fingerprint, but it's got to detect heat, so it's got to go behind it and stuff. But I think we're going there, and hopefully that'll help password hell. But in the meantime, what I do, and I'm not saying it's right, there's always this, there's a sliding scale between convenience and security. It's your choice to determine where on that scale you want to be. You could have a 36-digit character password if you want. Well, some places won't take it. I go to convenience. I have a simple password. If I have to redo my password at Apple, they wouldn't accept it because it's too short. But what I'm doing now, and I also have done something wrong, I have used the same password on a lot of sites. That's not right. What I'm doing now is I use my simple password. I inject one or three digits in the middle of it somewhere. First of all, your password should never be a word that's in the dictionary. Because there are cracking things where a guy can go in and keep trying to get in, and they just use a dictionary words to try get it. But if you take a dictionary word like cookie and put a $ in the middle of cookie, they're not going to be able to get in. That's immensely more secure than the word cookie. So you can do that. Capitalizing the C would help. Put a number in the middle, things like that. But don't use common words, even two common words. Break it up with different things. But let's say your password was, in my case, my good number's 9. So I would go cookie 9. First thing, I'd put 9 in the middle. So that's kind of secure. But then I use that everywhere, so if somebody gets into some hardware store database where I bought something a long time ago and I have a username, and they can get in there and get a username, it says cookie 9, or cookie 9 in the middle with the 9 in the middle. So what happens is I now am adding a prefix or a suffix to it. If it's my iTunes password, I would do cookie 9 IT. If it's Dropbox, cookie 9 DB. Apple ID AI maybe. Wells Fargo, cookie 9 WF. That way, if they get in and find out I'm cookie 9 WF, it only affects that account. They're not going to get into my Gmail account. They wouldn't know my Gmail was cookie 9 GM for Gmail. So that's just a thing. Believe it or not, one of my lowest tech clients kind of does that himself, and it was just kind of his way to remember it and have different passwords, and I like it. I think it works really well because it gives you a unique identifier. Yeah, you're going to have to remember which one is which, but you can put that on the cheat sheet. Okay? So LastPass and 1Password are programs that do two things. They hold your passwords for you, and they will generate robust passwords automatically for different sites, and you'll never even know what that password is, but every time you go to that site, it'll remember it. LastPass is free, and 1Password is actually, I think it was on sale last week for 50% off, and you have an iOS and you have a MacOS password for it. Now here's the key though. Make sure you have a good password to get into LastPass or 1Password, and don't forget it. That's one that's critical. Go ahead, question.
Ken, an easy way to make a password is just remember I have trouble remembering things. Just remember your first car, and say it was a Pontiac 41 yellow. So you put PO 41 yellow 1 or something like that.
That's easier to remember?
Well, if that's your...
But then you don't want to use it everywhere, that's the thing. Yeah.
I just use my Army serial numbers.
I'm sorry?
I just use my old Army serial number.
Yeah, but see, that's all numbers. You got to throw something in there. Apple's requirement is 8 characters or more, at least 1 capital letter, at least 1 number, and no single character can repeat more than twice in succession. Like, I have one K999SBNC. I can't do that because there's 3 9s in a row. Now, the other thing that really makes your password very, very good is special characters. $signs, exclamation points, and periods. Scattered somewhere. But now let's think about it. On the Mac, it's no problem. We got a big old keyboard. Let's talk about iOS devices. When I think about passwords and I make up passwords, I think about the fact that I've got to pull up a keyboard and I have to switch between numbers and letters. Yes. So what I do, I make the first letter I type be the capital, and then I go along. It'd be good to put the number in the middle, but if you don't want to switch back and forth keyboards, put the number or the special character at the end. And when you're thinking about the password, you don't want to go, number, character, number, character, number, character. Yeah, that's going to be good, but that's a pain in the butt putting it in on your iOS device. No problem on your Mac, but on your iOS device. So think about that when you're developing a password. And if you take the little thing about putting suffixes or prefixes on your password, the iTunes, the GM for Gmail, things like that, you can probably use one base password almost everywhere then. Remember, it should be 8 characters or more. Don't go much more than that, because the more, if you got 26 characters, the likelihood of misentering it is big. Okay? That's enough on passwords. Maybe they can go to voice, with Siri, maybe they'll get voice recognition at some point, and then you get a cold and you won't be able to get into any of your stuff. All right, we talked about keyboard shortcuts. And I've got a little note up here with all the things I'm going to talk about, but there's some keyboard shortcuts on your iOS device that are kind of handy. If I'm typing this class is, and I want to do the quote, I'd normally have to go to this screen and go up to this screen and go back and forth, but watch this. I'm going to press and hold the question mark and look at what's hiding behind it. Boom. Okay? I didn't flip any screen. And if I want to do apostrophe, I click and hold the exclamation point.
You have to put it in uppercase?
Nope, I didn't do anything. Uppercase, so I just say that because it's easier to remember that than the comma or the period. So it's the comma and the period. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to put the keyboard in upper. Oh, does anybody? Here's the deal. Uppercase is you tap the little arrow, right? If you want to lock the caps, you double tap the arrow, and the caps are locked for as long as you want. And when you use dictation, this is incredible. Exclamation mark. Caps Lock works on your dictation. Okay? We're going to get to dictation in a second. It's just a little tease. Go ahead.
My keyboard doesn't have an exclamation point.
The second keyboard, I'm trying to think on the... Yeah, on the iPhone, you have to go to the other keyboard.
Oh.
So this is the iPad one. It's because you don't even have a period on the iPhone. In fact, if you look at I'll bring up my iPhone keyboard. Nice that these are side by side like this. So that's the iPhone keyboard. You don't have that capability. But we have this on both of our keyboards. If you're writing in Spanish and you want to write señor, press and hold the N, and there it is with the tilde over it. Okay? If you're speaking in German and you want the U, there's an umlaut above the U, and also in the E, there's some accents above the E. You press and hold that key. Okay? Question, go ahead.
Well, to put a period in without switching back to the numbers, you can tap twice.
Double tap. Let's think about that for a second. That's a great point, and I just do it without thinking. In the old days with typewriters, whenever you'd hit a period, you would double space and start a new sentence, right? That's what we were taught in our typing class. That's the one class I listened to that one day. That was about it. Well, when we got to computers, believe it or not, they told us don't put the double space in the old days of computers because that would send a really weird thing that could screw up a file. Believe it or not. But now we've been indoctrinated that you just do single space. But with the iPad, if I type test and hit my space bar twice, it puts the period in. Okay? Cool. Now, let's say I'm writing a sentence and I just don't need to go to all numbers, but I want to go to numbers for a second. I just press and hold the numbers thing and move up there and let go, and it goes back to my letter keyboard. Okay? Press and hold on numbers, or anything you want, and let go. Well, how many here have iPads? Keep your hands up if you have an iPad mini, an iPad 3, or an iPad 4. Okay, so tell me if you have an original iPad or an iPad 2. Okay, you guys don't have Siri, so I'm sorry, it's the bomb. So we're talking about all these keyboard shortcuts, but the best keyboard shortcut in the world. You have an app called Dictation you can get for it. But you'll notice everywhere where I have a keyboard, I have a microphone. As long as I'm connected to the internet. Now, how does this work? Quite well, thank you. So, this little microphone, I'm going to tap it and wait for it to beep, and then I'm going to speak and it will type for me. So, observe. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of the country. Period. New paragraph. If you look at the microphone, it will show you the level of my voice. Period. New line. Don't forget to speak your punctuation, exclamation mark. And now I tap that microphone again and look at that. Oh, now is the time, frog, sorry. Now, do you notice that the there is underlined? Well, first of all, let's talk about this. It recorded my voice, sent it out over the internet to Maiden, North Carolina, where the big Apple $1 billion supercomputer is. It crunched what I said. It recorded what I said. It crunched it up and did voice recognition. It consulted a dictionary, so unlike me, it will never misspell a word. It may misdo a word, but it won't misspell a word. And it doesn't know context well. It's getting better. But you'll notice there's a blue underline. So I tap it, and it says, do I mean the? In other words, we're not sure. You have a tendency to mumble. Did you mean this or that? So the aid of their country is correct, but let's say I didn't want that, and I didn't want the. Everything's already highlighted. I'll just type in L-A-S-T, and I've replaced that word that was highlighted. Okay? Let's do dictation again.
Can you fix scroll?
Yeah, okay, I was going to get to that in a second. Let's do it right now. Let's do it right now. On our Mac, we have a mouse, and we have arrow keys, right? Who needs that? I got my finger. Even without a fingerprint, I can take my finger, and I did this in the beginning. In the very early versions, we couldn't do this, but I'd tap, and I'd go, oh, no, I don't want it there. Oh, no, I can't get it right. So I take my finger, and I press and hold, and this little loop comes up, it's called, and I can now, you guys can't see it, but I can't see the lower part. I only see the loop because my finger is over the other spot, and I now have this ability to, I'm pressing and holding and sliding my finger, and I go right there, let go, and I can do one of two things. I can hit the backspace delete button, but you'll notice this little thing came up that said select, select all, or paste. Select means that word.
Even if you're not on that character in that word, like the next reaction.
Because it's at the end of the word, I'm at the edge. If I was at the space, it would be the other way. Good question is because I'm not on the character. I originally was. And you can actually kind of double tap the word and make it come up. But if I hit select, now it's highlighted. I don't have to delete it and do all this. I just start typing. And now is the time, and I'll just type F-O-R. Okay? Yeah, oh, that's right, yeah. Space all, thank you.
So you can actually replace more than one word.
Well, you replace the word, and then you just keep typing where you were. So, if I tap and hold, the loop comes up, and then let go. Let's say I want to take in the word microphone. See, when I double tap, I'm missing it. There, I double tapped on microphone instead of pressing and holding. But let's say I want to copy that word, and I want to put that right here. I press and hold and let go of the screen, and then I can paste it. Copy and paste. Who doesn't use that on their Mac? Because I need to talk about it if we know. Copy and paste. Copy means I take this, I put it up on this weird clipboard in the cloud, and then I can paste it somewhere else. Cut means remove it from where it is, put it on the clipboard, and let's paste it somewhere else. Now it stays on that clipboard until I can go up here, I can go here, I can decide to put microphone in the middle of this sentence if I want. Pay or right there, microphone. So it stays on your clipboard till it's replaced by something else. You can paste pictures. That's how I can go get something from my iPhoto library and paste it in an email. All right, so great question on the loop, and it comes up. You have to practice that a little bit. You press and hold, the loop comes up. The other thing you can do is, if you know, look here, here's the word microphone. So I can cut, copy, and paste. I can suggest an alternate word. Thesaurus. I can define it, or I can speak it. So, define, well, let's do suggest. Well, I don't know, this isn't a good one for suggest, but I click define, and a little thing pops up and gives you a dictionary definition. So you're reading an article somewhere, and I'm in Safari, and And I'll go, let's just look in our article, medical. So I'll press and hold the word medical. Well, they're people. Medical. Define. I'm in Safari. I didn't type that. I'm reading something. I wanted to find it. Okay? Go ahead. Same thing on the iPhone, by the way.
You may be getting to this, but when you highlight a word, those little dots can move.
Great point. You're right. I should have brought that up. So even though I'm not typing this, there's handles on it. These little blue things. So now I go, and this is a little tricky, but I go find that little handle, and I can drag that handle down to include more things. And I can copy that. And now, here's an easy way to get back to my notes. I have the little home button right here. I double tap my home button. I click on notes. Now I come back here. And I want to paste that. There was what I just picked up from Safari in that article. Copy and paste. Doesn't have to be notes. It can be email. It can be anything else. Oh, you'll notice that was, yeah, there was part of a link there, but at least the people have been killed Friday evening's tornado is there too. So there was some stuff hidden behind the link that we didn't have there. All right, great point. Move those handles how you want. So this applies to your Mac. I'm going to show you now applies to your Mac and all your iOS devices. So here's this page. And I want to see the word. I go up here to hit search. You think that I'm just going to search for a website? No. If you'll notice right here, hidden down here, it says on this page. I move that up, and I can find the word tornado on that page. Same thing in your Mac. Command F gets this. And now I go down here and hit this little arrow, and it's every iteration of tornado. There. You got a big long article and you want to see something. Okay? It will do this in Safari to help you. Also works on PDFs and in documents. So then I just hit done on that. All right. Okay. I'm going to go into Siri briefly because we've talked about the keyboard and I've shown you these tricks for the keyboard, but you don't need it anymore. The first thing we do is, and I'll go to this notes again, I'm going to delete. I highlighted it, and I'm just going to hit, give me my keyboard. Oops. So the keyboard's up, and now I'll do it. I had to get the keyboard up, and I just hit the delete key. All right? So, remember, we have dictation. And when I do dictation, by the way, if you're running 10.8 on your Mac, you have dictation also. We'll fire up notes on my Mac. So see, it's got all this. In a second, it's going to delete all that. So on your Macintosh, if you're running Mountain Lion, you go to the function button and say, this is how dictation works, comma, it's remarkable, exclamation mark, new paragraph. If I want to do numbers, instead of writing out 1, and instead of writing out 5, and instead of writing out 6, new paragraph, I say numeral 1, then I would say numeral 5, then I would say numeral 6. And I tap the function button back. So, this is what just dictated. If I want to do numbers instead of writing out, if you say numbers, it will type numbers. If you say numeral 1, remember I said numeral 1, numeral 5, and that is incorrect, numeral 6. But you have to speak your punctuation. Also, I can speak really fast, but I have to make sure that I enunciate, period. I think really fast. Well, thanks, but I said speak. Anyway, but if you have trouble with it, think about enunciating each word individually. So, it's going to get better, and you'll get better. Now, is that Siri? Right, that's the first part of Siri. So, since we have this on the screen, and it's a little easy. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to do my, those of you that had my Siri demo before know this one, because they just seem to work really well. So I'm going to go back to dictation. That would delete the whole note. Yeah, I'm just trying to delete what I did there so we have it. Because these are my class notes on things I want to cover today, too. No, I can hit the delete key, but the trash can deletes the note. Okay? Now, so I'm going to do two things. I'm going to say, I'm drunk. New paragraph. Well, I need a jacket today. So I said I'm drunk. And I said, well, I need a jacket today. So dictation takes me literally by what I say. Now let's watch what Siri does with this. So I'm back on the iPad. I have an iPad mini, which, by the way, I think there's a price, Target has a deal on them. The Wi-Fi only iPad mini, I just read this morning. It's down to $299, and I think you get a $50 gift certificate. So instead of being $329, which is the base price on the Wi-Fi only iPad mini, it's, what's that work out to, like $249. I'll try to look that up during the break. But I'm going to go to Siri and say, I'm drunk.
I hope you're not driving anywhere.
She didn't type I'm drunk. She could have, but she interpreted that as, well, maybe, Ken, you shouldn't drive. And look at this. It says, call me a taxi. Now, when I hit that,
I found 12 cab companies fairly close to you. The nearest is Yellow Cab. It's less than 2 miles north.
Now,
would you like to get directions or skip to the next one?
So I have a speaker plugged into this just as if I had a headset or in my car's Bluetooth. So she acts a little different when she's that way. So I'm going to go to my iPhone now, and I'm going to say, I'm drunk. By the way, those cabs...
Your designated driver. You better find someone else.
Now, when I hit call me a taxi...
I found 13 cab companies fairly close to you.
You'll notice she didn't just automatically go to the first one because she knows I'm looking at the screen because I pressed the button. When I have a headphone plugged into an iOS device, she reacts differently. And the reason is Apple is one of the initiators of this thing called eyes-free initiative. Texting and driving is a problem. And the way to cure that is leave this in your pocket. I have Bluetooth in my car. I can use the iPhone headset. I can do anything else I want. And it responds this other way where she automatically, and then she says, I could have said, do I want go to the next one or do something like that. So I never have to view the screen. Everything's read back to me. In this case, she knows you're looking at the screen, so I can go here and pick which one. Those are geographically based taxi services. I think in the next couple of years, since a lot of taxis have GPSs, we won't be geographically based taxi services. It's going to show the nearest taxi, and you're going to say, hey, send me that taxi. You're right around the corner. Give me a discount. You might be able to negotiate it. He's right around the corner. So the next one is, I'll demonstrate here because it doesn't make much difference. Well, I need a jacket today.
I found 12 clothing stores fairly close.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to because there's no weather app on the iPad. Will I need a jacket today?
The low temperature will be 45 degrees.
Okay. So, and my phone hasn't refreshed its screen over here yet. A little bit of a internet issue. Okay, but anyway, you heard her say the low temperature. Okay. I can say, so it said, what was it, 43?
45.
Convert 45 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius.
Let me check that.
She won't read this back to
Okay,
me.
Ken, here you go.
She won't read it.
What?
Oh, it's a delay on the screen. I'm sorry, it's the internet. Because it showed that that's actually 7.22 degrees Celsius. Let me see what's going on. Oh, spinning beach ball. Let me quit reflector. We're asking it to do a lot here. Okay, sorry for the little side light here. Okay, I'm getting it back on connected here. Come on, come on, come on, iPad. There we go, great. All right, so let's go back to that one. Convert 43 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius.
Let me think about that. Okay, Ken, here you go.
So she doesn't read it back to you. She goes to this thing called Wolfram Alpha. Convert 350 US dollars to euro. How good would that be on a trip?
Let me check on that. This might answer your question.
Okay? So, how do I know what Siri can do?
Ask.
Ask Siri.
Ask her.
What can I say?
You can say things like,
Now, the way you interact with Siri, she's your able assistant. But if you had an assistant in the other office and you yelled out there, lunch! Wouldn't you say, schedule lunch with Tom at 1 o'clock? You wouldn't just say lunch. She's going, that crazy guy. Well, Siri will do that too. So, you think about the action first, and then what you want to do. Let me see if this goes a little better this way, if it's bigger. No, it's not. All right. Oops. What can I say and then do it? Now, how many here use the calendar app often? How many use Siri for your calendar app? Ooh, cool.
Wait till
Like lambs to the slaughter. All right, so I'm going to look at my calendar here, and I have an 11 a.m. appointment. It's a Mac Break Weekly, a wonderful podcast. Renee Ritchie, the guy we had speak at Macnexus a while back, is at. So I have at 11 a.m. on June 4th, I have an appointment. So I just wanted to see that. I could have said, when's my next appointment to Siri, but I'll say, schedule test June 4th at 11 a.m.
okay, here's your meeting. Note that you already have 31 events that overlap with this. Shall I schedule it anyway? I'm not sure what you said.
Cancel.
31 minutes.
That's pretty good.
That's great.
That's cancel.
Okay then, I won't create the event.
Sometimes she'll say you're too busy anyway, but that's bizarre. What the heck? On June 4th, 31 events. Oh, maybe she did all June 4. Okay. So later today I have a 4 p.m. to mail Yahoo. It's a weird thing. So schedule test today at 4 p.m. Now I could say the date. I could say next Tuesday.
Note that you already had an event about mail Yahoo at 4 p.m. Shall I schedule it anyway?
No, cancel.
Okay then, I won't create the event.
So, now how many that have Siri are going to start using your calendar more? It tells you have an event. I'm driving along in my car and I tap my Bluetooth button and I say, schedule such and such for this time. It's life-changing. It really is, if you have anything on your calendar. We showed some notes here, and to get notes you actually have to have everything else I'm showing you everybody can do, but you have to have an iCloud account for notes. So I'm going to go back to my note here, and this is called class, because for today's class. So this is my Mac, and I'm going to say to Siri on my iPad, add toilet paper to my class note.
Which note?
Class.
Which note shall I update?
Hang on here. The problem is I have two class notes. Let me fix that because today there was some syncing with the two. Oh, I must have two different accounts. So let me delete this note. So now I only have one class note. Add hamburgers to my class note.
Which note shall I update?
Class.
Which note? Okay, I made the change to your note.
So in a sec here, there it is on my iPad. Oh, come on, don't print. Hamburgers added to my, on all my devices.
Okay, that was my next question. If I
You like hot dogs instead? We'll add hot dogs.
But if I put it on my calendar on my iPad, which I probably don't carry with me all the time, but I always have my iPhone with me, does it come up on the iPhone and talk to me? I mean, does the Siri or something, does it remind me that I have an appointment?
Great question. Okay, so first off, because of the iCloud, they'll sync. If I added this from my iPhone, from my Mac, or from my iPad, it all goes up to the cloud.
If you want it.
Huh?
If you want it.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
I mean, I choose not to on some of my notes, but it's just me. But you have to make the choices.
So the Luddites on this side and the well, right, but there's other ways also. But for me, notes becomes a lot of things, and I'd say why not sync it? I'm the only one that operates these. It's a little different because it's me in a household. And what you can do is if you have multiple people using computers or devices, just use other users. But I use this as a shopping list.
But I guess my point is that people have to know that when you set it up, you have to physically set it up to sync, or else it won't.
As long as you turn on iCloud and you're using the same account, it will do it automatically, automagically.
Unless you choose to opt out.
Don't do it.
Yeah, but I mean that's how it
Yes, exactly. So when you sign up for iCloud, you have these options in there.
Okay.
And that's fine. And the nice thing is you can opt out on it. To me, I find it so useful. Again, the same case is you're working on your iPad and you want it to be on your iPhone when you go to Home Depot or go to Walmart or go to Costco. Costco's a little tough. Oh, by the way, the first line of the note is the title of that note. Costco, you got to say a t to make a Costco note, okay? A Walmart note's pretty easy. So, or do multiple things like Walmart or Costco shopping list. It can find easier than it can just find Costco when it's looking for your notes, okay? Same thing with people. You may have to give them a nickname. I have a client, Ann Young. 2 single-syllable names. It's real hard to find her, so I can put a nickname in there if I want. But here's how it works. The cloud is up here. We have an iPhone, we have an iPad, and we have a Mac.
And it's not showing up.
It's not showing up.
I can see it.
It's a reflection.
There we go. Prettier blue anyway. So you have an iPhone, you have an iPad, and actually we'll make this an iMac with a little stand under it. So, here I was putting my stuff into my iPad using Siri. All Siri is your keyboard. You don't have to use Siri. I can type out hamburger. It goes to the cloud. And then it propagates down to my other devices. And by having this central clearinghouse, if I say hamburger here, and I say toilet paper there, and I say mustard there, they all clear through the cloud. Same thing with your contacts and reminders, which I'll get into. Okay. So that's the cloud. You know what? Don't overthink the cloud. When it's working, you won't know it's there. When it's not working, you call Ken. Did that kind of... Okay. So you can enter it wherever you want, and it will come. But Siri doesn't speak it back to you. Siri only enters it. Siri in the future will read you your things for you. Your devices can read to you. Who came to the Macnexus when the blind gentleman worked with the iPhone? It reads back to him quite well. He can operate that iPhone as well as I can. He's not totally blind, but he actually, because he knows he's getting more blind as he goes along, he has his screen on black mode. You can't even see anything on his screen. It's amazing. The amount of stuff built in for accessibility on these things is incredible. And I'm going to touch on accessibility after the break. So that's Notes and Siri. And Siri and the calendar. What a pain in the butt usually to go in and enter things in a calendar when you can have Siri do it for you. The last thing before the break that works really, really well with Siri, and especially the iPhone, but your iOS devices, is reminders. Now, reminders, think of it kind of like a to-do list. A reminder can be a list of things, not a note. Now, the difference with a note is you're going to interact with it. It's one note with a lot of different lines, and you have separate notes. A reminder is kind of like a single task. A calendar appointment is an event. A reminder is just a to-do list, and a to-do list can just be a list that you never get to, like me, or it can be time-based. On Saturday, remind me I have a board meeting. We have our Macnexus board meeting after this. I could make an event and say time it, but if I make a reminder and I say, remind me at 12:30 that we have a board meeting on June 1st. Or I could say, remind me every first Saturday of every month that I have a board meeting. So it will pop up on my screen. So that's a time-based reminder. So I have a regular list of things, or I have time-based. And the other one that's very useful is location-based reminders. I'm driving down 99 and I see a sign for a neat barbecue place. The sign looked good. Turned out the barbecue place sucked. But they had a really neat sign. And I was heading to San Jose. Yeah, the sign was there. Well, the best part was Apple Maps tried to put me on the wrong side of the freeway when I finally found the place, and I should have listened because I went in, and that's the only time Apple Maps has failed me. It had me on the wrong side of 99 at 8 Mile Road, and I went into Google and I saw it was because I had looked ahead of time and saw it was on the other side. I should have listened to Apple Maps. It sucked. Anyway, I was heading to San Jose, and I said, well, I'll check out this barbecue place when I come back, because I'm on a low-carb diet, and I don't just, I'm a carnivore at this point, pretty big. And I said, when I get here, remind me. And it was Royce Farms Barbecue. So I'm driving along. I come back, and driving along, I got my phone mounted right here. Ding, ding. Royce Farms Barbecue. So I didn't enter my GPS location. I said, remind me when I get here again. And now if I had not cleared that off, every time I passed that location on Highway 99, it would pop up and remind me until I dismiss it, which is cool. Okay? Location-based. Now, I can also say, when I get home, remind me to take the trash out. I'm sitting here and I go, oh God, I got to take the trash out. It's tomorrow. Boom, remind me to take the trash out when I get home. And I get 300 feet, within 300 feet of my house, and it pops up, and that reminder, amongst others, pop up on my phone and says, and then unless I dismiss it and say I've done that, it would pop up every time. Now on the trash, I could also say, remind me every Friday at 8 a.m. to take out the trash.
Are you doing this just by pushing Siri? Is that all you're doing?
I'll show you. Good. Siri's the best. I can go in manually, because you have apps on everything. I can make a new task here, and I can say, take out the trash, do whatever. So let's say trash. Is that okay on the screen size-wise? Yeah. So then I hit return, and then I come back and I want to edit this. So I can say, remind me on a day. In other words, if I press that, then I get my choices for my times, okay? I can turn that off, and I can say, remind me at a location. So it says, remind me at a location. When I leave somewhere, or when I arrive somewhere, or, like the little sign there, at a specific location. So I just went through all this. But watch how tough it is with Siri. So I'm going to delete that thing. When I leave here, remind me to go to the board meeting.
Here's your reminder for when you leave here. It says, go to the board meeting. Shall I create it?
Confirm. My hand's never left my wrist.
I'll remind you.
So now, when I leave here, it'll pop up a reminder. If I say, remember to call Doug Klein or remember to call Rob Ress when I leave here, it will pop up, but it won't automatically call them. If they're in my address book, it'll pop up and say, remember to call so-and-so, and if you have the option to say call, and it will then make that phone call.
How far do you have to get away?
About, I say 300 feet, but it really depends. Now, the thing is let's say it's pretty accurate, and I leave this room and I go down 4 doors down. It's going to remind me. Maybe I don't want to. I come back here, do around, and when I finally leave, it'll pop up again. It kind of resets. I've had it where I've gone into a large store. As I'm going to the store, remind me to do something. I go in the store, and I'm so many feet from where it originally was, it pops up. I just don't worry about it. Then it kind of resets to where you originally did it, and then come out. The radius is determined by how good your cell phone location is. Obviously, on the iPad, it's not going to be as accurate unless you have a 3G cellular version. The iPhone's the most accurate for that. And of course, on your Mac, you really don't have the capability for it to do it. And you're probably not walking around with your laptop going to remind you. Go ahead.
You said confirm.
Or yes.
Yes will work.
Yeah, and I kind of do. The other thing is, when that little confirm comes up, a lot of times I just tap it. Because sometimes my Bluetooth in my car doesn't really take it really well. So I just hit yes or confirm, whatever you want. You can do it manually if you're looking at it. But she listens, and she's pretty good. She'll say, "Why I didn't hear you," or something like that. So, hello.
How does it identify home?
Good question. Doug wants to know, how does it identify home? In your address book, in your contacts, you usually fill out that information for yourself, and that's the My Card, and it's important. You can also tell Siri, go to such and such contact, make this my home. Okay? You can also say, so-and-so is my daughter, or so-and-so is my son, and you can say, call my daughter, or call my son, rather than having to say their name. But the home is a good thing. So my home's in there, and anybody else in your address, I can say when I get to Doug's house, remind me to park on the side street. You know, maybe they were doing some paving and he reminded me of something of that. So when I get to Doug's house, remind me to park on the side street. Since Doug's in my address book, when I get there, it would pop up with that reminder. But if the person's not in your address book, for instance, Home Depot, you could add it, or you could sometimes say, when I get to the Home Depot on Howe Avenue, remind me about this, and it has to go through the Google gyration, but it doesn't always work that way. Go ahead.
You said I'm looking at contacts. What is a My Card?
Are you on the phone?
No, I'm on the iPad.
Okay, great point. So, and thanks for asking that, Doug. So I'm going to go to contacts, and I'm going to go and just do a search for Ken. And if you'll notice, you should notice, wow. Let me look at my iPhone. It doesn't show me as a My Card. See where it says Ken Spencer here on this one? See the little silhouette? So that's when you shoot me on the gun range, that's my thing. I look different when I'm hanging up on the wall at the post office, but that's the My Card. And you can, and on the Mac, what you do is you go to Contacts. It's in Mountain Lion. It's called Contacts. I always make the mistake. It used to be Address Book. And if you go here, you go to your contacts. See, I have one for passwords, which you guys shouldn't be seeing, but that's okay. I'll change them all there. See here, Ken Spencer. See the silhouette by it? So what I do, if this was the one I wanted, I would go here and I say, make this my card. It's grayed out because I already made it my card. Or go to my card. Now, on your iPhone and your iPad, and actually since this one is not on here, this will be on the recording, so it'll help you. If you go to Home, you go to Settings, and you go over to Mail, Contacts, and Calendars. And if you scroll down here to Contacts, actually it does say My Info, and you select the My Info, boom. In Mail, Contacts, and Calendars? The iPhone's, okay, I'll do it on the iPhone here. So if I go to iPhone to set that, well, first of all, go to your contact and see if you have a silhouette.
I found it.
Do you have a silhouette by it?
Not in the contacts. I had looked there earlier and it is.
Okay.
My info wasn't.
Well, then it's pointing to it. Let me see if it came back to here. Yeah, see, for some reason on the iPad, oh, you know what, I'll bet. Come on, rotate.
You're disconnected again, Ken. There you go.
Yeah, for some reason it doesn't show a silhouette on that. But anyway, that's how it's supposed to. All right. Was this our break time? 10:20, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's try to be back because we got a lot to cover. I'll try to get started a little bit right after 10:30. I'm sorry, yeah, a little after 10. We'll call it 10:35. And if you have any questions, this would be a good time. You can come ask me. Let me hide my passwords. There we go. All righty. Good questions.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm not shy, as you can tell. But I've talked to you before, and I actually emailed you about coming to my house because my husband died.
Yes.
Yes. Well, and then it's been busy. And then I went to Italy, and which was
Well,
good.
that's-
But
yeah.
that was very good. Anyway, my computer crashed yesterday. I was coming here today anyway, but I need some, and I talked to them. It's the big, the 24-inch.
And when you say it crashed, does it just not boot at all? You get a
Not
boot
boots
time?
at all. And it just
But-
spins a little
Oh,
and
but
then
it-
stops.
But does anything come on the screen?
It's all white, and then there's
There's
a
a
little.
little figure or question mark?
Nope, just a little thing.
Yeah.
So I
check it
need
out.
some. So I was wondering when
Yeah.
you could come
Let's look at my appointments right now.
and then do whatever. Oh, hey, I
What part of town do you live in?
Curtis Park.
Okay. Oops. Today. Tuesday's wide open. Wednesday is open in the evening.
Let's do Tuesday.
Tuesday, you pick the time.
Let me see.
Morning, afternoon.
Morning would be the best.
Okay, 10 a.m.
Perfect.
Okay. And what was your name?
My name is Mary Wunschneider. Just put W.
W, and then let's add it to. So I'm going to add it to my contacts. Oh, 10 a.m. So see, I just do it the normal way I would say it, and it takes it. And then let's go here now.
And I'll give
You can't use Siri for this stuff.
That Siri
Actually,
thinks you do everything.
Let me see if Mary. No, what's your email address?
It's okay.
Or just the first couple?
MWAND.
WAND.
Yes, that's me. The Wunschneider. That's me. No, the one
Oh,
above
there we
that.
go.
Yep.
So what I'll do from this, the really easy way to do this to start you is I'll go from here and I'll say message, add sender to contacts.
Oh, perfect.
We'll start
I'm
it
liking
out.
that how you're teaching at the same time. That's good.
And you know what? Look at this.
Because I gave
See,
you everything.
I hover over this and I say not new contact, but add to existing, and I'll look for the just Mary.
Nope, I was the one above that.
Nope, that's you.
Yeah, I know, but you already had me in there, it looked like. See?
Oh, let's see here. Nope, that's just that info.
Oh, okay.
So if I add it to here, it adds it to your email in this, and then
Okay, whichever.
yeah, but watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to hit save.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go up to my contacts, and I'm going to search for Mary's, and you'll notice I have, they didn't do the other one. So what I'll do here is I'll just highlight that. Oops. So see, it didn't really take the other one, so now I'll just hit edit. And I'll put capital W, paste, and then get rid of the extra W.
Perfect.
And then we can put your home address in here.
2207 Markham, MARKHAM. Way. Mm-hmm. Zach. 9581.
Okay, and now from address book 2, you hover over this and it'll take it right to Google Maps.
Oh, yeah.
But now in the mail, you can see here, this is so cool because it's called a data detector.
Yeah.
And it applies to the iPad and the iPhone too. And then if there was a date on here, and I replied, it looks like, which is good, thank goodness. But if there'd been a date here, there's a data detector for the date and it would add it to the calendars. But I'm going to go back over to our calendar and make sure it just says Mary W. and there you are.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. That'll be.
Thank you.
And something's happened to my iPhone. Maybe I'm going to have to take it.
It matches your shirt.
It won't go to settings anymore. It's going to contacts every time rather than settings.
Oh, because you didn't say you. It's trying to say the U card. So Leslie Yates is at the end. Well, you're not in here, so we're going to hit cancel.
I'm in settings.
We're going to hit cancel. See, we hit cancel is why you're not in settings.
Oh, okay.
So let's go.
In settings,
let's go to
I did
contacts,
find it.
and let's look for Leslie. Yeah, well, but you don't. I'll bet it's all that weird syncing with your thing. The other thing is I wonder where it's probably not. Yeah, see, it's not all iCloud. Now you'll be in here.
Oh, okay.
Let's
And another
see.
thing,
Oh,
when I hit on groups, it
There
just
you
shows
are,
me a
see?
list of my groups.
there you are.
Oh, good, okay.
Because you hadn't have your cloud ones up there.
Oh, okay.
So now it'll point to you. You weren't seeing your full address book
Okay.
or
And what about
contacts.
groups? Will it show me my
There's your
groups?
groups.
Yeah, but when I hit on them before, it wouldn't do anything.
Well, and I put all iCloud because that's what you
Okay.
didn't have selected.
Okay.
And that's why your name wouldn't show up.
That's why my name wouldn't show.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and if you hit show all contacts, it's probably going to throw some duplicates in there, so we won't do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
That was easy. And now so it was probably pointing to it, even though it wasn't showing in contacts, it pointed to it
Oh.
because it tunnels into contacts without, kind of like, Pages tunnels into iPhoto without opening
Yeah.
iPhoto. Same thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Want an easy one?
Oh, yeah. Baited question. Yeah, sure, it's easy.
Right.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, sit down. I'm out there. This goddamn guy Gordon moved out.
I know.
You son of a bitch. And he says, well, when you take over. So anyway, I got this class. Well, I got it down to once a month. And we usually have between 5 and 10 people there. This next month, I've got a problem. One woman came up to me and she says, I've got this new iPhone. I don't have an iPhone, so that's one of the problems.
Pretty close to the same.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a phone. I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, it's pretty close to the same as an iPad, really.
Oh, is it? Oh, so
Very
you
close.
can set it. So every one of them different. About 3 of them say we've got to figure out how to synchronize our phone with our iPad and our computer, and several of them have got PCs, of
Rocky.
course. So my question is what do I? Is there a
Excuse me for
short
not
way
getting
to?
up. I'm trying to take a quick break.
Yeah, right.
Nice sushi, nice sashimi pictures.
Any way to tell them how? Any general things on how? It's easy to do.
Well, they just have to be on the same iCloud account.
Yeah. Oh, is that
That's
it?
what you need.
Oh, okay.
And that
So-
works for PC or Mac.
Okay.
You know, I told Gordon I'm happy to come out and do those classes at any time. No
Mhm.
charge.
Oh.
For me, that's marketing. And
Yeah.
I enjoy doing
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And it's a good
Yeah.
group out there.
Yeah.
I've got a few clients out there at Eschaton now. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're getting a few.
everybody there.
You know, it's
I'd
amazing.
like to get Mom moved in over there, but she
Yeah.
hasn't really. I said, Mom, the worst mistake. I talked to everybody. The worst mistake they make is they waited too long to go in when
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like being on a cruise,
Yeah,
you know.
that's right. Yeah, it's a neat place. Yeah, she's no matter who she is, what her status is, anything,
Yeah.
she will like it there.
Oh, I know,
Even-
but
even
but
though-
it's hard for her, and it's hard. It's different for women than men.
Yeah.
And I've been learning this.
Yeah.
It's hard for a woman to leave their house.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It was okay when she goes 3 months a year down to Arizona because that's her other house.
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
but
Yeah,
To
right.
leave her house, and plus, it's for her. I mean, I can see it's kind of like, oh, I'm giving up. Well, no, it's like being on a cruise.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, every night. Only on
I'm happy
Sunday.
to do this. When you do them usually?
What
What
am
day
I-
of the week you do the classes?
I'm on the second Thursday of every month.
Yeah, let me know. I mean, John, I will come do it anytime you want me to.
Really? Oh, okay.
I told Gordon that
How
too.
about the second Thursday of next month?
Yeah, let's look. Of June?
You
Of June?
Yeah, June.
My aunt has been in the same house since 1913.
Oh, boy.
Just,
You're gonna have to tough
just
on that.
recently, no, she just recently went into a managed care facility.
One sec.
And she
I'm
loves
finishing with
Oh,
you.
yeah. Actually, I thought, oh, Christ, of all the damn things to do.
Second
have to do
Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
That's the 13th.
3
right?
o'clock, yeah. Uh-huh.
Eschaton, 3 p.m. I will do it. I will be there.
Oh, okay, superior.
I don't want to step on your toes.
There's no toes to step on this one.
You can hit me with your cane.
Yeah.
3 p.m. at Eschaton. Yeah, so email me, call me ahead of time and where it's going to be and stuff.
Okay,
I'm happy to
in
do
the
it.
TV room, you know.
Yeah, you're on my schedule.
It's beautiful, beautiful.
Good deal. Maybe we can get them to come to Macnexus meetings, you know?
Well,
What are the,
we picked up a few of them, you know.
What are the burning issues before the board these days?
We'll talk in private. the meeting got, well, anyway, so we had a quorum, and Richard couldn't make the meeting last month and didn't, so he canceled. It was just weird. I'll talk to it's.
That's all right. I don't want to listen to that
It's
political
You know,
stuff.
I was thinking, you know, we were thinking about how do we get new members, younger people. Younger people don't join these types of things. I think what they should be.
Our membership we're getting more and more members, and a lot of it's all the classes really, and it's it's really that's it. And I'd have to say we're expanding it, but we're not really changing our demographic that much.
And so I'm thinking we should be planning for a Macnexus end of life. 15 years down the road, there won't be a need for Macnexus.
I think no, because I think what's happening is because we're doing more iPad, iPhone stuff, we're expanding our audience that way, and I don't think our demographic is getting older. I think our demographic is staying consistent because the new members we have coming in, they're not young, but they're young in comparison to our existing demographic.
There are people who are changing over probably to the iPad
and newly retired people.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm seeing. But
I don't know.
No,
I don't think Macnexus, certainly doesn't exist now, is going to be around in 15 years.
I tend to agree, and I think that you then do more. It'll be an online situation because I have people that don't come to the general meetings because they can't drive at night.
Yeah.
I have people that don't want to drive all the way to here for this. It's part of the reason I record my classes. I got to stop the recording. Nobody told me.
No.